The fourth guest. The third course. Nature's echo. A new hush descended. The digital patterns on the walls changed once again, morphing into a tranquil forest scene. Towering bamboo stalks swaying in a gentle breeze. The music now featured the distant chirping of birds, leaves rustling, and the faint sound of running water. If the earlier courses had conjured images of blossoms and streams, this new atmosphere was distinctly woodland, earthy, grounded. An unexpected delivery. The four servers returned. This time each carried a flat, rectangular stone slab. Upon closer look, it seemed to be actual slate, with raw edges that hinted it was cut from a larger piece of rock. Placed before me, the slab felt cool to the touch. I watched as my server arranged an ensemble of items: a swirl of green pea puree, thinly sliced roasted root vegetables, and a cluster of glistening mushrooms, all arranged in a minimalist pattern. A curious wooden utensil lay beside the slab, part fork, part tong. It had two prongs on one side, with a small spoon-like curve on the other. I picked it up experimentally. The shape felt ergonomic, as though designed to cradle the morsels precisely. Lan spoke first, eyes alight with interest. "Oh, these mushrooms look like enoki and shiitake, but they're glazed in something dark. Maybe a miso reduction." Kenji nodded. "Likely so. That aroma is definitely miso, or perhaps a soy glaze with some sake." Ajay sniffed the air, lips curving into a gentle smile. "Smells earthy, almost like I'm stepping into a forest after rainfall." I lifted a small roasted carrot slice with the wooden tong fork. The edges were caramelized to a perfect crisp, and the center softened to a buttery texture. When I bit down, my palate was greeted with a sweet, smoky note, offset by a hint of saltiness that I couldn't quite place. The pea puree added a bright, fresh contrast, and the glazed mushrooms had a meaty, umami punch that made me momentarily forget this was a fully vegan meal. It was satisfying in a profoundly comforting way. Merging with the forest. The music pivoted into a gentle gamelan-like chiming, layered with forest ambience. The digital bamboo stalks on the walls seemed to sway in time. Occasionally, a swirl of leaves drifted across the ceiling in a mesmerizing, dreamlike motion. At one point, I placed my hand flat on the slate slab, curious about its cool temperature. To my astonishment, the slab emitted a faint pulse beneath my palm, akin to a heartbeat, but more subdued. I pulled my hand away in surprise, glancing at the others. They seemed equally enthralled with their own slabs. Lan ran her fingertips across the edge of hers and blinked. "I could have sworn I felt it vibrate," she said quietly. Kenji raised an eyebrow. "Is this some sort of subtle technology? Or are we imagining things?" AJ pressed his hand down firmly, eyes closed. "It's real. It's like the slab has a resonance, a frequency that mimics something alive." We were too entranced to be alarmed. The synergy of the environment, its luminous, living forest illusions, the ephemeral music, the sumptuous flavors, lulled us into acceptance of the seemingly impossible. It felt as if the restaurant was guiding us into communion with the essence of nature itself. A philosophical turn. As we ate, conversation resumed at intervals, the hush of the environment making our words delicate. Lan gazed around, her eyes catching the subtle forest illusions. "I grew up near paddy fields in Vietnam," she explained softly. "We had a small orchard with fruit trees. This atmosphere, it makes me miss home, but it also makes me feel like I'm in every forest at once." Kenji nodded. "I used to trek through the bamboo forests near Arashiyama with my grandfather. We'd listen to the wind rustle the leaves, sometimes for hours. He told me stories of how each stalk of bamboo was connected underground through a shared root system, like a giant family. That taught me how interconnected life is. AJ chimed in. In the Himalayas, there's a concept that every tree, every rock, every river is imbued with consciousness. Perhaps not in the way we think of human consciousness, but a life force nonetheless. I listened, enthralled. You know, sometimes I forget that food originates from the earth, from living soil and plants. This restaurant, it's making me realize the reverence we owe to the natural world. All the while, the wooden tongue fork felt like a bridge between me and the meal, as if the tool itself was part of the forest's gift. Each bite seemed sacred, an opportunity to immerse myself further in the orchestrated dance of nature, technology, and culinary art. Surprising links among diners. Somewhere between savoring the glazed mushrooms and tasting the pureed peas, a surprising revelation took shape. Lan leaned toward Kenji. "I feel I've seen you before," she said, brows furrowed in concentration. "But I can't place where." Kenji tilted his head, searching her face. "I don't recall, but I meet so many students and travelers in my job. Could we have crossed paths in Kyoto?" Lan shrugged. "I was at a Buddhist library last week, doing some research. Did you ever go there?" Kenji paused. "Actually, yes. I was visiting a library to read up on Zen texts." They exchanged a few more details, and suddenly Lan's face lit up. "You were the man carrying a stack of books. Something about the Heart Sutra translations, right?" Kenji's eyes widened. "Yes, I remember you. You were at the table next to mine, reading a book about Thich Nhat Hanh." Lan gasped softly. "That was me. I nearly spilled tea on your stack of books, and I apologized. That was you." We all marveled at this chance connection. AJ and I exchanged curious glances. "Small world," he mused, swirling a roasted carrot in the pea puree. "But it seems more like fate in this context." I couldn't resist pressing further. "AJ, do you think you have a link with either Lan or me?" He laughed good-naturedly. "Not that I know of. Unless— Wait, you said you were traveling for photography, Veronica." I nodded. "Yes, I just came from India about a month ago." He raised an eyebrow. "Which part of India?" "Varanasi, then Rajasthan." AJ's eyes flickered with recognition. "I was in Varanasi at the same time, studying at a small ashram near the Ghats. Did you stay by the main Ghats?" I blinked. "Yes, for about 2 weeks." AJ's mouth curved into a wondrous smile. "Then we may well have crossed paths in the labyrinth of those narrow lanes along the Ganges. Perhaps you even took a photo I might be in. Varanasi is intense, but travelers often converge at certain spots. It's possible our paths brushed in passing." A quiet awe filled the room. These coincidences, if they were coincidences, made the atmosphere feel electric. Kenji tapped his chin thoughtfully. "So each of us, by chance, might have encountered one another in the past, albeit briefly, and we ended up here tonight. That's more than coincidence, if you ask me." Lan concurred softly. "It's like an invisible thread linking us." I felt goosebumps on my arms. The idea that we, four strangers from different corners of the world, had subtle connections in our travels was uncanny. It lent credence to the idea that this restaurant, or something guiding it, had orchestrated our arrival. Otherworldly servants. The moment was broken by the server's seamless re-entry, clearing the slate slabs with that same synchronized grace. Again, I ventured a question to my server. "Did you know we all had these hidden connections?" Her serene eyes met mine briefly, and her voice was barely above a whisper. "All souls that converge here share echoes of destiny," she said, bowing again. Then she disappeared behind the partition. I looked at the others, repeating her words. AJ exhaled slowly. "Echoes of destiny. That's quite a phrase." Lan lifted her gaze to the swirling bamboo illusions overhead. I'm starting to believe it. Too many coincidences. And this place feels like it's drawing them out into the open. Kenji placed a hand over his heart. I feel comforted, actually. As if the meal isn't just about eating, it's about discovering how we're connected. Maybe about discovering ourselves, too. We all agreed in silence. The third course had been more than just a culinary delight. It awakened in us an ever-deepening awareness of nature, interconnectedness, and the distinct possibility that our meeting was no accident at all. The forest illusions on the walls and the gentle, earthy rhythms in the music slowly faded, leaving behind a sense of calm serenity and a curiosity for what might come next.